All right, it looks like we're live. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Keep Calm and Carry. If you're new to the channel, I'm Mark, and I really do appreciate you guys swinging by. So these chats are geared for the everyday person to talk about things ranging from what's going on in the 2A community, politics, all that stuff. You know, we're not going to get deep into solving the world's problem in about an hour, but we'll sure try. We're also going to talk about everyday carry, things we do to stay active, so on and so forth. And this is also an opportunity for everyone out there to, throw your questions in, see if there's something that you're interested in, and just kind of open a chat with myself and also my special guest. This week, I'm really super excited because I've got the firearm guy. Dan has decided to swing by and join me this week, and I've been a big fan of his. I've been watching him for a couple of years now and just really enjoy his enthusiasm and everything that he brings to the table when it comes to gear reviews, the 2A community, what's going on. And he's an active voice, and that's something I really do appreciate. So before we get into the actual conversation with the firearm guy, we're going to talk real quick couple house cleaning issues, or not issues, but things I'd like to touch base with. First and foremost, those people, like I mentioned last week, that came out to the NRA annual meeting, I sure do appreciate you swinging by and saying hi to me. That was a real treat. I really don't take myself too seriously, so when people swing by and say, hey, my goodness, it's Mark, I can't believe you're here, that really meant a lot to me. So thank you so much for that. If you don't already know, I have a website up and running. It is fitandfire.com. You can swing by and check out some of the things that I've got going on there. I've got right on the front page, I'll always have a deal of the week, something I think that is easily obtainable by anybody's standards, and something that I would use myself if I didn't already have it. And typically, I'm already going to have what's on the deal of the week, but if it's not, it's something I'm really going to try to get my hands on. I'm also going to have a tab that you can click that's going to talk about the gear that I use, or the gear that I'm saving up to purchase. So like an example would be a Trijicon MRO. That's something that I am saving up to buy, and I have it on my gear list. So if you guys need a quick reference to it, you can swing by my website and have that right at your fingertips. And then also great finds that I find on the website, not necessarily a deal of the week, but something, hey, this is something that I think that would be pretty cool if you get your hands on it. I also have a section for news, a section for blog, and then another kind of pastime of mine with photography, if you guys want to check that out. So you can also find me on all the social media outlets. You know what they are. Obviously, you're on YouTube. You found me here. So you can also find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. Facebook and Twitter as well, if you're interested. So real quick, I'm going to swing over to the chat room just to say hi to everybody. And a reminder, don't be bashful. Go ahead and throw in a question if you're interested. So Stephen Clements, no alien jokes for me. I've been through Roswell. It's a beautiful little town. I really did enjoy my time, even though there is a lot of UFO stuff going on. BR549, as always, hee-haw to you, sir. Kevin, good to see you. Alana, I said it right this time. The Grim Reaper, Big Johnson, Guns and Gear, Jarhead 6, good to see you. Jackie Billings, a bit of a celebrity here with the writers from guns.com. Thank you very much for swinging by. Alaskan Ballistics, always a staple in the chat room. I really do appreciate it. BR, no, not yet, but I will. I have that on my to-do list. I'll work on that. So without further ado, and you know what? BR549, that's actually a great question that I'm going to pitch over to Dan this evening a little bit later on in the live chat. So let's jump right into it. Again, we've got the firearm guy. Dan has decided to join us, and we're just going to talk about, hey, who is Dan? What does he do? So take it away, Dan. Tell us all about yourself.
All right. Well, your first line, you said we're not going to solve the world's problems, but I'll tell you what, a lot of the world's problems would be solved if more people decided to carry a gun in a responsible manner. I think you and everybody else in the chat room would agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My name's Dan. I've been at this for a little while now, and well, over 5 years. I think a little longer than that, actually. Love doing gun reviews. Love doing range gun reviews, and I enjoy speaking about Second Amendment issues. One of the things that you had mentioned is that we need more active voices out there, and I agree wholeheartedly. Part of the problem is that people have strong opinions. They have these strong thoughts. Most people are pro 2A, but they keep it right here on YouTube. We're preaching to each other, and we need to get out there and share information. And that's one of the reasons why I do make videos on pro 2A issues, is because I think somebody may hit that share tab and send it to somebody else who may be on the fence and may not have the same mindset, but could be convinced otherwise after hearing somebody like me or you or Jarhead 6 or all these guys who are doing the same thing. So it's important to do that, and I enjoy doing that. Matter of fact, we have a rally coming up that I'll be attending and covering, hopefully speaking at. But that's me. I do gun reviews. I do little rants here and there, and love getting out to the range and ring and steel.
Absolutely. And that's something that you and a few other YouTubers that I've been following has been kind of inspiring me to do, is to get out and be a little bit more vocal. When I first started my YouTube channel, I really was very cautious about getting into the politics of things. And I was concerned that I may kind of back myself into a corner by, coming out and talking about some of my political alignings. And you're absolutely right. Us gun enthusiasts, we end up kind of getting into a bubble. We always talk about the left and how the left always has a problem with this or that and the other, and they're always such in a bubble because they don't have any Republican friends or anything like that. And sometimes I see that's a bit of a problem for us as well. We kind of get ourselves into a bit of a bubble and don't try to reach out to other people and talk to them in kind of just a constructive manner. Is that something that you look forward to on a daily basis? Is just kind of meet someone new and ask them what their opinions are? Or?
Actually, I love it, and I'm actually pretty good at it. I can go up to a complete stranger and start up a conversation, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about guns, the Second Amendment, anything else. I really seize the opportunity. Now, I try not to be too annoying, but it's my second favorite subject next to God himself. So I love getting out there and talking to people. And it's interesting because when they have this vision of what a pro 2A guy is like, and once they realize, hey, this guy tends to make sense, it changes attitudes, it opens their eyes, and it's a thrill for me to do that.
Absolutely. And it's funny because a lot of people is like, oh, you got to stay away from getting into Facebook arguments or discussions on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. And by and large, I agree with that. I agree with trying to get into arguments with people online, but I was actually able to get into a pretty decent discussion about slavery of all different things. And I'm not going to get into the specifics behind it, but I showed some references to a guy that had no idea about what was going on behind the scenes when it came to slavery, and it kind of opened his eyes, and I was really proud of that. But that's something I also enjoy doing as well, is just trying to reach out a knowledge branch and, basically just education, and make sure that, everyone understands both sides of the facts that are out there right now. So
I will say this though, Mark, you are pretty good at that, because that's how we met. An initial shot, working my way to a booth, and you approached me and said hi, and we kind of got to know each other, and here we are on a live chat.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. So let's just jump right into where did Dan get his start in the firearms arena? I mean, what got you into shooting? Where did your passion come from? So on and so forth.
It was started very young. I was the guy who had the CO2 BB gun with a big old holster hanging off my belt up in northern Michigan. And I used to love the target shoot and things like that. Let it go for a while in high school, but then not long after that, there were some guys and they had a rifle, probably a 30-30. Probably about 30 yards away, I hit a pop can dead nuts with this thing and said, "Oh yeah, this is what I love." And it started with a couple handguns here and there, then moved on to, well, I got a whole bunch back here, but the passion's always been there. It's been a lot of fun. The whole idea of concealed carry, you know, at least in Michigan, it used to be where you had to come up with a reason why you need to carry it. It had to be approved, but then Michigan became a shall issue state. And, you know, I've been carrying for well over 10 years now. And I feel great about that. And people, you know, have no idea. Most people have no idea. That's because most people don't watch my videos that I meet. But the passion of carrying, the passion of loving firearms, the smell of the burnt carbon, all that is just something that you have to experience. And the thrill of a new gun is a lot of fun. There are people that say, "Tell me what the best gun to get." And I said, "You know, do you have 2 hours to go to the range?" You're going to walk away confused, but I can't answer that question. I can help you, but there's just so much to each and every gun that is hard for a new person to pick up. So I guess in a roundabout way, I answered your question. I never lost a fire, and it's still sky high.
Yeah, right on, right on. And you brought up a really great point of, you know, the thrill of a new gun. I just so happen to have a box right here, which is a new gun that I will be unveiling here in a couple days. Hopefully Wednesday morning, I'll have that dropping a video of my newest member of the family. So I'm excited about that. I was able to shoot it this weekend. It was a lot of fun. And then we also had BR549 make a comment, and we were getting a lot of positive responses from people in the chat room. Thanks, everybody, saying that they just love your channel, Dan. But BR549 says that the Kimber that you reviewed the other day was really sweet. Wouldn't mind getting his hands on one of those. And it's actually pretty interesting because the pistol that I just picked up is going to be kind of my new EDC here in the near future. But one of the things I was hoping that it would fit my wife's hand, because she has pretty small hands. But we also looked at the Kimber Micro 9 to see how it would fit her hand as well. And it looks like that one's going to be a better fit for her. So we're pretty excited to get to a point where we can get one of those for her. And I really appreciated your review because it was perfectly timed. I'm going to get her to sit down for about 5-10 minutes so she can watch your video and understand a little bit more about that. So
let me take a minute to talk about the Micro 9.
Sure.
I had just as many people say that it's an outstanding gun. They love it. I took that out of the case, and it for a 3-inch barrel, it performed very well. However, there are people, and not just a couple, who have had issues with that Micro 9. In my range review, the slide locked partially back, and it was stuck. The slide stop pin came out just a hair and locked that up. And, you know, I was able to quickly figure out what happened, but I am not 100% sold on the Kimber Micro 9, partially because I've read, listened to, watch videos, and have experience with it. Now, the shooting ability of that gun, top notch. It was phenomenal right out of the case. Break-in period, well, maybe, but why did the slide stop pin come out? So I would just do your research for anybody out there interested. I thought the gun shot really well, and I believe I shot 5 different types of ammo through it and did that all live. That was none of that was done previously, and it's a nice gun. It is, but I will say this though: my gunsmith and my FFL, he said he doesn't like it at all. So it would, he says those micro 9s are junk. And I go, well, why do you mean that? And he said, well, there's always something wrong with it. And I'm like, well, I kind of like it. It's small, size of a car PM9. It has a 7-pound trigger pull. It's got some decent controls, all this and that. Well, I personally like it, but I would just say do your research.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So real quick, take a break through right here and just say again, hi to everybody in the chat room. Thanks for swinging by. Naturally, we have our normal usual suspects in the chat room with BR549, which I just talked about, the Grim Reaper, Alaskan Ballistics, Kevin Ekdahl, 410 Cars and Stuff swung by. Hey, how you doing? And Drew Lovelace, sir, always great to see you. We have a couple new people that I haven't seen before, and Bob Jost and Nico. Seen you before, but it's great to see you and have you back again. So again, if you guys have any questions for Dan, don't be bashful. Go ahead and fire them across the bow, and I will get to them just as quickly as I can. So Dan, let's get moving on with some of my other questions that I had for you. What is your typical EDC? What do you like to carry? What's some of your favorite guns? I'll let you go with that.
Well, I carried the car CW9. I love the car models, but now I carry the car P9. And it's essentially the same thing, but it's part of their premium series. Came with night sights. And I just shoot that gun so well. Yes, it has a long double action trigger pull, but I hit my target consistently when I fire the gun, and it's so easily concealable. I use multi-holsters. I've got one right here, and it's just a nice setup. I love it. Carries 7+1 and a spare mag handy at all times. That's my primary carry. If I decide to pocket carry, I'll go with the PM9. Once again, very slim, very light pocket holster. I typically don't pocket carry, but in the summer months where you don't always wear a belt, it's a good choice. And then if I go double stack, now I never agree with people who say, well, I only carry if I know I'm going somewhere that I might need it. I don't agree with that statement.
Absolutely. Yep.
However, that's not to say that there's not a portion of that isn't true. And so if you know you're going to be, maybe you want to increase your firepower a little bit. And in that case, I carry the FNS 9C with a 12-round mag, and the spare mag for this holds 17 rounds. So that's pretty good firepower and a very nice gun. So if I go double stack, I go with this, and the rest. I've got one more if you want to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
This is a cool little gun, especially as a backup. And that's the C-Camp LWS. This one's in 32. They also make it in 380. But this thing is like nothing. I mean, it's just so light. And I'm not a big 32 fan, but for a backup, that'll certainly ruin somebody's day.
Absolutely. Drew asked a question. Do you have any trouble with the rounds nosediving with the cars?
I have in the past. That's a magazine issue. I have taken pliers and played with the magazine at times. With this P9, I have not, and with this PM9, I have not. But that has happened at times with cars. And also, okay, so this one's fine, but sometimes that round will kind of unseat itself, and you just kind of push it back. So that's another complaint. But no, this one's been real good for me, and so has this PM9. but I do know what you're talking about.
Right on. And it's actually interesting that you are carrying cars and FNs. Those are those are pistols that are not necessarily on the beaten path. Is there a reason for that? I mean, I'm a Glock guy. I know that's the mainstream. Everybody's used to it and so on and so forth. Is there something about the cars and the FN that you like better than you do with, say, a Smith & Wesson or a Glock?
Well, let me start with the FN. And let me just also say I've got a Glock 43, a Glock 26, and a Glock 19, and holsters for all of them. But I do like this FNS 9C. The trigger just breaks at the perfect time, and I do like the fact that it measures up well with the Glock 26, but it holds 12 rounds. This also has night sights, full Picatinny rail. Not that I use it, but it's a nice feature. But I really dig the trigger here, and I actually shoot it better. So that's why I lean toward the FNS. The cars, I don't know what it is. I began carrying cars well before I began to make videos. It's the thinness and the lightness and the shootability that does it for me. I find them to be outstanding. Now, there are a lot of people who carry cars, but I don't think there are a lot of people who make videos that carry cars. I mean, they sell a lot of guns. They're very small and light and easy. For me, it's an easy carry, very easy.
Right on, right on. So good to hear. I've got a couple new people in the chat room. That Bob Jose says that my son and I are really enjoying your channel, Mark. Dan, good to see you. So thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. And I'm sure Dan enjoys you guys being along for the ride as well. If you are part of the chat room, if you're watching live right now, really appreciate you guys hitting over and smashing that like button. That really helps out the channel. And sure do naturally appreciate any questions that you guys got. So let's lighten things up a little bit. Dan, tell me, have you ever had an embarrassing incident while you've been concealed carrying?
Not too much. I did have a guy, I was picking up a pizza and some guy said, "Hey, your gun's showing." And with a little bit of, "Hey, your gun show," and my attitude was, so what? Michigan's an open carry state anyways. I don't need to hide it from you. But out of politeness and without causing a scene, I moved my sweatshirt over. There was a time when I think I had gym shorts on, and I had the little North American Arms mini revolver called the Pug at 22 Magnum, and somebody was carrying a full size 1911, and he had recognized me from my videos. This was a while back, and so we had struck up a conversation, and he showed me his 1911, and I was real impressed. And he said, "What do you have on you?" And I had this little mini revolver Pug. Like, I got a Pug. It's just a little embarrassing, yeah, but it takes a lot to make me embarrassed.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I did a live chat with Jackie Billings, and she is known as the Micro Warrior. That's her little hashtag that she goes on, and she is a very small statured individual, and she carries a full size Glock 19 pretty much everywhere she goes if she's able to. And so she and I got to talking. She's like, "So what you carrying?" I'm like, I got a Glock 26, so I was a little emasculated.
Yeah, it becomes humbling, doesn't it?
Yes. So anyway, let's swing. Yeah, there it is. There she is. Yep, that's you, Jackie. She's in the chat room right now. And
hey, let me say something to Jackie. Jackie, I got to know Daniel Terrell, and I did watch the chat you were on with Mark, and you said some real nice things about Daniel, and I concur with that. Very cool guy. We hung out a little bit last summer at Gunsight Academy and had a great time together.
Outstanding.
Did a lot of training.
Cool.
He's the editor over at guns.com, and great site too. Great site. And Jackie, you do a very nice job. I enjoy your reviews.
So, Alana, she is very much a badass. And if you guys are not watching out for Jackie's articles on guns.com and Shooting Sports USA, by all means, you need to do so because she is the bomb. So, again, let's swing over to the chat room just to say again, hey, everybody. Again, if you guys have any other questions, by all means, let's get into it. I'm going to back up real quick and I want to kind of pick your brain here from a viewer requested question that came from a couple episodes back. BR549 is asking if I got a chance to get into the CCW insurance debate and what that means. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, Dan, but maybe you can help me out. Is if I remember correctly, BR549 understands that CCW insurance doesn't want you to carry jacketed hollow points. They prefer you to have FMJs or vice versa. Have you ever heard of a CCW like Second Call Defense or USCCA or any one of those insurance companies preferring you to carry a certain type of ammunition?
I have never heard that. Matter of fact, the one thing that I have heard was that they would prefer that you figure out what your local law enforcement is using for their defensive loads and use that, because now in a legal situation you are justified saying, well, if law enforcement's using it and I felt threatened for my life, I figured that was the way to go. But no, I've never heard full metal jacket.
Right on, right on. That's actually a really great point, something I hadn't considered. So there you go, BR 549. If you get a chance to swing by and talk to your county sheriff or your municipality police or whatever you want to call it, that's some pretty solid advice. If you ever get hemmed up in a situation where you have to defend yourself, you end up in the courtroom, you can say, well, I'm using the exact same thing the police is using. So very, very good comment. So Alaskan Ballistic's asking, what do y'all think about the new P365? That's something that Dan and I were talking off air, and I was able to hold it at SHOT Show and NRAM. Feels really good in the hand, and there may be something coming up here pretty soon about that from my channel, but I know that Dan, you've already had a chance to shoot it. Any thoughts that you want to share with everybody?
The only gun that is a double stack magazine that comes close to the P365 is the Taurus PT111. I mean, I had a bunch on the table and did size and weight comparisons, and the Taurus came closest to the size and weight in a double stack magazine. And I've got something coming up very interesting that's going to feature the P365 and many other double stack magazine subcompact guns coming up probably within a week. I'm really excited about it. So I guess stay tuned for that. I will say though, the one that I shot was voluntary recall, if you will. And I even talked to SIG about it. They said that the tolerances were a little too tight. They dialed those down a little bit. They added the X-ray 3 sights on there, and the feedback from those adjustments have all been positive. My experience with the P365 was positive. It shot real nice, and I felt that SIG did a good job. But it did come with SIG Light night sights, which they said were popping off. So that's why they changed it to the X-ray 3 night sights. But no, I enjoyed it.
And that's actually a really good point. I saw a video that popped up from Terran Tactical just the other day. And not that I go out of my way to watch Terran Butler's videos. It just so happened to pop up on my recommended feed. And the 365 that he had, the front sight was shimmying off the slide. Now, Big C says that 365 equals lots of problems. Look up Harry's holsters reviews, and again, that kind of goes back to what Dan was saying, that some of the earlier models had very, very tight tolerances. I know that there was some issues with the locking lugs with the barrel mushrooming out, which is part of the recall. So I think that they've done a decent job of fixing some of those problems, but you also have to understand that the demand on this thing is huge. So I mean, I've been waiting for one on back order of Brownells since March 5th, and here it is. May? I don't even know what day it is. May 13th, and Browning still doesn't know when, or Brownells rather, still doesn't know when they're going to have them available. So,
well, that was
yeah,
a good point, because Harry was one of the first ones to get out there at the range with that gun, and he experienced some issues. And for a good amount of people, that was, the popular mindset was that it had problems. But that's not too unusual for a new gun to come out, that has a few issues, and it really needs to get in the hands of the public so that the company can see what's going on. They can do all their testing that they want, and hopefully, especially a new model, when they come out with a new model of, a subcompact double stack gun that weighs 20 ounces, I mean, that's something different.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was really interested from SIG's perspective is that they built the pistol around the magazine. I don't know of too many other manufacturers that take one piece of a firearm and build the remaining firearm around that one piece. So I thought that was pretty innovative, regardless if you guys like it or not. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like SIG because of their P320 issues and how they handled that. So, you just gotta take the good with the bad. And if you're a SIG fan, great. If you're not, move on. There's plenty of other pistols out there that can do the job. PT-111 is one of those that I'd like to get my hands on and test as well. So we'll see what we have to, what we can do to get one of those going. So let's change gears a little bit. We've kind of touched on it a little bit with some of the things that you like to be involved in when it comes to the 2A community, and kind of speaking out and making our voice heard, which is something that I really do appreciate. You've spoke at the Capitol a few times now there in Michigan. So what do you see as the biggest challenges in the 2A community right now?
The biggest challenge for any group, not just the 2A community, is to get the vast majority of people in the same direction. And what I mean by that, in regards to the 2A community, is that hunters and, say, people who love sporting rifles don't always mesh, but in regards to our rights, they should. And a good example of that would be bump stocks. Okay, I'm not a fan of bump stocks. I owned one for about a week just to check it out. It never even made it to my channel because I didn't like it. But I'm going to speak out against the president, the NRA, and anybody else who wants to ban them, because that's just chipping away at our rights. If hunters would do that same thing, and I don't mean to pick on hunters, they do a lot of good things out there, but we don't have a true solid voice from all areas. If we did, we would be so much stronger. There are people who feel very passionate about 2A issues, but they don't vote. So what do we have there? We have a Facebook warrior. Okay, we need Facebook warriors, but I think they need to ask themselves, what else can we do? There are other people who they may agree with a video that you make, Mark. Well, share that on your other social media. That helps. It's at this point, it's not about views or subs or anything like that. It's about getting out the message. And if we had more people getting out the message, see, the antis are getting their message out. They've got the mainstream media. They've got these kids running around like a bunch of community organizers. Okay, and they're front and center. They're on the cover of magazines. They're on the headlines, and they're making these little kid militant heroes. These kids have no information. We are the ones who have the information. We have the experience. We have a strong mindset. we need to get out there and make that known. And if that simply means sharing a video that's pro 2A onto your community of people, that would help. It also helps when you attend rallies, meet like-minded people, listen to the speakers, talk, go for a march, do these things. It's fun. It's fun. You're doing something productive, and it's upping our numbers at these things. So I just think if we could just be on the same page, whether you participate in something like a bump stock or not, be unified, give no ground. I would be first, I'm not a big hunter, but I'll be the first one to get in front of my camera and speak against somebody that was trying to take hunt. I would like to see that group of people, along with others, be unified and give no ground and any chipping away and no compromise either.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things that a couple of people in the chat room are talking about. One Mel the Nut says, tough to give an inch when it says shall not be infringed. And, that's a pretty decent point. Jackie, of course, is echoing exactly what you're saying, in that we should all support each other, regardless of what industry that or I should say, what segment of the gun industry that we're a part of, whether it be, the EDC guys, your competition shooters, your hunters, or just, your collectors that love old vintage firearms. We should all be unified together. We should all be pressing for that united front. And that actually kind of leads into my next question. Is one of the pieces that I find the most frustrating aspects of the gun culture is this fractioned mindset that we have. That we have the Moulin Lobby guys over here, and then we have our hunters over here. We've got our competition shooters back here, and so on and so forth. We're just so segmented into all these different compartments instead of being unified. That's kind of my biggest frustration. What's your biggest frustration, Dan?
Well, you just mentioned it. We don't have a unified message. And when we do come up with a unified message for, I have to believe that everybody watching the chat and everybody who watches your videos would be the first one to speak out against the ban of sporting rifles. Okay. Well, that's a good thing. We should. What more are you going to do? Are you going to vote for freedom at the polls? Are you going to attend a rally? Are you going to share information? There's some serious stuff going on here. I don't want to sit by idly and let it happen and tell the generation after me, yeah, well, we didn't get the job done because we at one point had freedom and we let it go. That's not going to be me. And I don't think it's going to be the people in the chat room, and I don't think it's going to be you, Mark. But there are some people that are going to sit by idly and allow it to happen. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out there and be militant and march up and down your main street in your neighborhood with your flags and your rifles strung up across your back, but there are ways to get involved. And I'll give you a little example. This next Sunday, I'm working a free women's clinic. They're expecting 800 women to go to this range, get educated, take a few shots, talk to people. I'm one of the instructors there. I'm going to spend all day from, like 10 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night working with these women. What an opportunity to bring people onto our way of thinking. And I'm not going to preach to them, but I'm going to show them what I'm being asked to show them. That's an outreach that I think could be real productive. These are people, many of which who have never touched a gun before. These are also people who might vote for freedom when an election rolls around because they had a good experience, or they realized that we're not crazy, we do make sense, and we have a message, and we are very.
Absolutely, yeah. And if anyone is experiencing some glitchiness, I apologize. We've got some weather blowing through my spot of the United States, so I think my internet's kind of glitching out. So I apologize for that. But I think we all got Dan's message, and I'm really excited for you to have that many women coming together and being a part of some type of training. I know that my wife, she's in the military, but I personally feel, and I'm sure she would be the first one to come out and say that she probably doesn't get the training that she should have, especially for walking around carrying every single day. Now she at the moment has decided that she doesn't want to. She's going to leave that to me because we pretty much go everywhere together. So she says, "You take care of that. I'll take care of baby girl. We'll be good." But I'm looking forward to get her into a class of some sort. So, moving right along, we've seen over the last couple of months, kind of bleeding into a lot of the topics of discussion that we've been hitting on here. YouTube has changed their policies, or maybe been a little bit more specific on what their policies are when it comes to firearm related content. How has that affected you? What are your opinions on what they're implementing, and have you had any issues so far?
I've had no issues. I did go through each and every video and remove the hundreds of links that were linked to gun channels or sites that promote the sales of guns or products. I did that. I honestly think this is just me talking because I haven't heard this from anywhere else, but I think that shooting at the YouTube headquarters made some of those people think twice and say, well, what do we have here? Do we have a militant NRA member? Do we have some guy with, a grudge who is mad at us? Because no, we had a female vegan who was into art and she happened to be a I don't know, Indian lady or something, and she's the one who went in YouTube headquarters. And there's even footage of a guy that said, the first thing I was thinking was, I wish I had a gun, but I didn't. And I think a lot of people have seen that, and I honestly think that made these people think maybe these people aren't as crazy. Now, having said that, there have been people getting strikes, there have been people getting warnings, and there have been people removed. Personally, I have not been affected by that, but I do a lot of handgun stuff, so that wasn't so much the target either. So maybe that's kind of kept me a little bit shielded from the hammer coming down. But it seems to me that most guys, and I've removed videos, other guys remove videos as well, but it seems to me like if you survive this far, you might be okay.
Yep, I'd agree with that too. I did the same thing. I went through all of my dozens of videos and removed the links that I've got. But I know that Robski over at the AK Operators Union, he's been fighting an uphill battle. He's got 2 strikes. He was able to get one of his strikes knocked off just to turn around a day later and have another strike hit up against him on a different video. So he's got quite a bit of an uphill battle. He is actively engaging his YouTube representative to kind of challenge some of these strikes. And I feel for those channels, those larger channels. I think that's one of the things that maybe you, myself, Tat to California, the Gun Guy TV's channel, we're not at that 100,000 level, 100,000 subscription level or above. So, maybe our videos aren't getting hit up on the trending list or the recommended list as much as others, and that's why they're having so many problems. But that's just my little skepticism about their algorithms and how things work and how things don't work. But yeah, I think anybody showing the Devil AR-15, as 410 Cars and stuff says, is probably going to get strikes before someone like, say, yourself, who only focuses on pistols and the alike. So,
well, let me make a comment. I do have plenty of rifle reviews and shotgun reviews and things
sure.
like that. A while back, probably 3 years ago at SHOT Show, I see you're wearing a Faxon shirt. Faxon hosted an event at a local range, and who was also there was Fostech, and they were releasing, or at least introducing, the Echo Trigger. So I made a review on the Echo Trigger, and I showed myself live shooting it. It felt like full auto, and it's a binary trigger, one after another, and it looked like full auto. I read the YouTube guidelines, and I decided this video is not going to fly, and I took it down. Probably had 40,000 views. I took it down. The very next day, I get an email from Google stating that video, I didn't even submit it, that video is suitable for all advertisers. Now, I started thinking this was against everything that I read, all the new content about what will get you a strike. This is against all that. And then they took it upon themselves, somebody somewhere, because I just put it on private, so approved it for all advertisers. That one threw me off. So then I ran it live again.
Yep. And it's actually interesting you bring that up. One of the, I would say, I hate to say it like this, but the alternative news sources that I go to is Steven Crowder with Louder with Crowder. He's actually suing Google right now. I don't know what phase he's at in the lawsuit, but he has his lawyer, his half Asian lawyer, as they call him on the show, requesting specific documents from Google because they went to AdSense, Google AdSense, and had Google pulled together a ad campaign. They said, Google said, hey, we'll pull together an ad campaign for you. We'll run it. We'll generate more views on your channel and all this other stuff. And, you just pay this, whatever it was, for us to pull this ad campaign together, and everybody will be happy. So Steven went ahead and paid the Google AdSense fee to have his channel, his ad, whatever, developed by Google. And as soon as it was up and running, it was running for like a day. They demonetized his video with that ad on it that they created. So it's like
what happened was the Southern Poverty Law Center was outsourced out by Google. They became the eyes and ears of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Total liberals, total, bias, and they're the ones that I would bet a buck right now that they were the ones who did that, and Google allowed it to happen. That group is no good, and I'm not even sure they're still working for Google, but that was a disaster, and had they gotten their way, we would all be gone.
Yeah, it's actually a good point. Every time I hear Southern Poverty Law Center, I just laugh because they don't do anything for poverty. They're not a law center. I'm pretty sure that most of their employees are not even attorneys, and I don't even know if they're Southern, to be honest with you. I think they're stationed down in Georgia somewhere, but by and large, I'm pretty sure their employees are not Southern.
Yeah, so it's a liberal think tank, and the best way that they could be successful is to shut the rest of us up. And for a while there, I thought they were that was really the goal, because they already have the mainstream media. But if they could shut up guys like you and everybody else, then they run wild with it on their anti-gun side and change views.
Sure. And it brings up a comment here that BR549 has. He says that hopefully we definitely need another strong platform. Hopefully Full 30 will take off. Full 30 is great. They have a lot of the bigger YouTube channels on there. I've got my channel name reserved. There's also Huge Tube, that's UGE, or Utah Gun Exchange Tube, that's up and running as well. One of the biggest problems is trying to afford bandwidth and so on and so forth. But one of the things that I really liked, and I can't recall who exactly said it, but a lot of people have been echoing the same thing, is that, there's no reason to leave YouTube. Yes, they are demonetizing our content. Yes, they're trying to suppress our voices, but we should really look at staying on YouTube to spread our voices with the community that's already there, because it is the second largest search engine behind Google itself. So is that kind of your thinking as well?
Well, when was the last time you searched a gun? And I'm all for the YouTube or the Utah Gun Exchange coming up with a different platform. Matter of fact, I plan to upload a few videos there. But when was the last time you ever searched for content on a certain firearm and the Utah Gun Exchange came up?
Exactly. Yep.
You don't see it. And so Google has a hold on the market, and they decide what the content is going to be. I have not, you could still search Google and come up with gun related content. Maybe not in the marketplace where they took out gun related content in the marketplace or whatever, the shopping area. But I'm not going to the shopping area to search for a gun. I'm just going to search it. And maybe one day another platform will be on the search engines a little higher up in the ratings, but right now it's only YouTube, that from what I see.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, we can see some of these other platforms that are out there that a lot of people don't know about. There's Liberty TV that James Yeager put together and has launched. Like I said, the Utah Gun Exchange, or Huge Tube, and then Full 30. I would like to see another platform really get up and running. So that would be interesting to see how things move on in the future. So let's see. I had a question. I'm going to back up here. Oh, one of the questions from the chat room, and this is going to kind of back us up to some of the things that we talked about earlier, Dan, was what type of ammunition do you use with your EDC?
I was using, and I still am, I actually have two different kinds in here. I have it's called LTech Enterprises. It's a 3-pedal. I don't know if that shows up. I did some testing with this, and it just mushrooms out. The bullet's made by LTech. The case is made by Shell Shock Technologies, and it really works well. On some of my range tests, it really works well. So that's what I'm carrying there. I recently did a review on the Remington Golden Saber Black Belt, and that was nice too. And that is really some smooth shooting ammo, and I have that in my PM9. So that's what I'm sticking with now. Having said that, I believe in my FNS. I've got Hornady Critical Defense. So, I guess it's pretty well rounded. I think that each one of them would do the job if needed.
Outstanding. Appreciate that. So, one of the last things I wanted to touch base, just to kind of better understand the firearm guy, is what are some of the hobbies that you have outside of, say, shooting or the Second Amendment support and stuff like that?
Well, I've had a business for quite a while now. This is not my primary source of income, but I do rent houses. I currently have 6. I had 7. I sold one, prepping one for sale. Horrible way to make money. Okay, it's got its advantages. I tell people I've made and lost thousands in this business, but that's one of the things. As a matter of fact, I was doing some landlording work today, so I do rent houses. I'm actually a pretty darn good basketball player for a short, stocky guy. People wouldn't think that, but anybody wants a little one-on-one with an old man, I say bring it. I'm pretty good at that. So I've got a pretty extensive athletic background. I played hockey in college on a scholarship, and I spent a lot of time coaching hockey. And right now, it's all about my daughter in gymnastics. That's the direction we go. We travel all over the country. We'll be in Greensboro, North Carolina, in the summer for the national competition. So she's 12 years old. She's really good, and a lot of the focus is on that, as well as my regular job that I don't talk too much about.
Sure. Yeah. Outstanding. My daughter, she's in gymnastics as well. We're not at that level yet, but she enjoys it, and she's still pretty young, so she hasn't gotten into the competing aspect of it.
Let me prep you, buddy. Right
Yeah,
here,
oh yeah,
lot of money. I'm talking a lot of money, but a lot of fun, a lot of tears. And it's like any sport, a lot of tears, but a lot of joy as well.
So Drew actually asked a really good question. Hopefully, knock on wood here, this comes a reality, but will the Predators win the Stanley Cup?
Well, Drew forgot the part where I said that I'm kind of out of hockey now and into gymnastics. So I'm not a great fan. I'm just not. Being a Michigan, are you a Michigan fan? Are you Michigan State? I'm not a great fan. I'm a fan of you and other people that do this kind of stuff. So to answer your question, big fan of Nashville. Actually going to stop a night or two on our way down to Greensboro, so I'll just say yes.
Okay, good. The Nashville Predators was my very first NHL game, so they are my number one team. My number two team is the St. Louis Blues, for anyone out there who cares. But I'm hoping that they'll do some good. And Nashville's a great town. I love that place. It's one of the cleanest towns I've ever been in. So I don't know if you have the same opinion.
I was there a while ago. Absolutely loved it. I have just a little bit of family out that way, and I can't wait to go back this summer.
Yeah, it was a good time. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have any questions for me, or any questions to the chat room?
Let me just ask. You've been at this for a little while now.
Yeah, about 8 months, 9 months. Yep.
Okay, so that's relatively young. We've seen a lot of people who used to make videos that don't anymore. And I think one of the reasons is because of the money. The drop in money took a huge hit. I think another reason is a lot of people jumped over to Instagram. It's just so, I shouldn't say it's easy, because a lot of people stage their pictures and make them really, really nice and do all the stuff. I haven't gone that far. But what motivates you to keep going?
Oh, that's a great question. I just have a big passion. I hope to get to a point in the future to be able to start doing some training. So that's kind of the things that I'm doing to keep me driving through this. I've been fortunate enough to head out to tactical response and train with James Yeager. I've trained with Thunderbird Firearms Academy down in Wichita. I'm hoping to get out to the West Coast to a couple places out there. And that's kind of what really is pushing me to continue to do these videos is want to become an instructor. I'm a chatty Cathy. So to be frankly honest with you, the wife doesn't want to listen to me blather along about my guns. So why not just stare at a camera and do it with you guys? So I just kind of got into the rhythm of doing this. I have the great luck of being able to be in contact with a person here in town that has a range, and I can go out there and use it whenever I want. By and large, for the most part, but I always ask permission before, and I always clean up afterwards, and that's been a great benefit for the channel, is to have those people that support my channel as well. And then just getting the feedback and getting some viewers and some subscribers up underneath my belt, and seeing that there is a following, that people want to hear what I have to say. That's what's really been driving me over these last 8, 9, 10 months or whatever.
Okay. And so where do you want to take your channel? Is it a goal to have a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of videos, a certain amount of views, all the above? What drives you to continually do this?
Yeah, absolutely. I've never really set a goal for subscribers. I mean, if I could get the silver play button with 100,000 subscribers, that would be super cool. But that's not my goal. My goal is just to share my knowledge and kind of share my journey. Really, I've been around firearms for a couple decades now. I was raised, my dad had me around guns at a very young age, but we didn't really go out and shoot very often. And when we did, it was a really big treat and I really appreciated it. But it was just here in the last few, I would say probably last, pretty much since I joined the military, that I really got into uh, being around guns full time, starting that passion, understanding what the Second Amendment is and why it's so important to us. And so ultimately, I just want to be able to continue what happened at NRA, to put out good content, put out informational, thick content, and have people come up and say, man, I really loved what you did in this video and it meant so much. And to know that I've reached out and touched somebody and hopefully made an impact in their lives. That's ultimately my goal. So,
Okay. And one last thing. Now that you've been at this for 8 months, are you surprised, or did you see it coming in, at how much work it is to run a channel?
oh, I was not prepared for that. I've gotten into a bit of a rhythm now. I'm still kind of tripping on my shoelaces a little bit, but for the most part, I've gotten into a a rhythm where I can pull together a video and I can pull together a video in one day, edit it the next day, and have it ready to post on YouTube the third day. Every once in a while, I have to condense that timeline. Like right now, tomorrow I'm going to have to do a video on my new pistol, but it was not something I was prepared for. I don't think the family was quite prepared for it as well, but the family has been extremely supportive in the fact that it is a lot of work. They understand that there's a bit of a sacrifice with it, and they continue to say, hey, NRA annual meetings coming up, or SHOT shows coming up, or the IRAC veteran 88 range days coming up. I really need to go. It'd be great for the channel, and it's just go. So a lot of travel, a lot of work, a lot of how am I going to afford ammo to test this type of thing.
Yeah.
It's been coming along. I've been fortunate and good luck. I've had some good luck in being able to get my hands on this and that and the other. And um, so far it's been going pretty good. So
I don't think our viewers quite understand, and this is not in a negative way, and there's no reason for them to understand how much goes into this and how much takes place at 1 a.m. when everybody else is asleep.
yes,
I do, because we're still dads. We still have jobs. We still have other interests, and time is only allowed X amount of hours. The amount of editing, the amount of ideas, the things that happen when everybody else is asleep and you're
yeah.
up working your channel.
Yep, that's actually a great point. I mean, today is a prime example, and this is one of the reasons why I love these live chats so much, regardless if I have someone with me or not. Today, I worked my normal full 8-hour day job. As soon as I got off work, I had to run and pick up my daughter from school. I went to the gym and got an hour-long workout in. I got back. I had to cook dinner because my wife hadn't gotten off work yet, which is pretty normal and just fine. I'm no problem there. So I cooked dinner. Once I got done with dinner, I did the dishes. In there mixed in all of that, I'm throwing laundry in and getting that going. once my wife got home and served dinner, she was happy. Everything tasted good. She's off putting together a costume for my daughter's recital on Thursday. So, and then finally, when I'm able to get the dishes done and dinner's all taken care of and everything else, I can come in and sit down, just press a button, start a live chat, and be able to share this with everybody in the chat room, and of course you yourself, Dan. So yeah, it's and I still got, once we're done with this live chat, I probably got another half an hour of stuff to pull together just to have it tweaked just enough for the people who come and watch it afterwards. So
well, that's why when we first made contact about this, I told you it's got to be around 9:30 Eastern time, because all the way up until 9:30 the schedule was completely packed.
Yeah.
And I went to the gym too for an hour. I did some landlording. Went to gymnastics. I mean, completely packed. So thankfully I'm not going to be doing any editing tonight, but it's coming. And it's just like this thing that to maintain a channel, it takes a lot more work than people realize.
Yep, absolutely. So and just so everybody knows, I reached out to Dan just a couple of days ago to say, hey, would you be interested in being on the live chat? And he, without hesitation, said, yep, sure can. And we worked out the time, which is a little bit different than what I normally do, but it worked out for everybody. And I sure do appreciate everybody in the chat room. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. We've been going for just over an hour here, Dan. So I'll give you some last words here. Is there anything that you want to say, and tell us where can we find you if someone doesn't know who you are?
Okay. Well, first I'd like to say thanks, Mark, for having me on. It was great talking to you and your audience out there. Asked some very good and inquisitive questions. I appreciate each and every person watching. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I've been working on a major project that I'm very excited about. My major projects, I'll just say it. My major projects are compilation videos. And in order to do that, I have to come up with the firearm live. I'm not going to post pictures or pull it off somebody else's video. So in order to do that, I came up with 15. I'm not going to say I don't want to say it now because it's not done, and we'll see if it all pulls together. But 15 different guns that I consider are the best of a certain category. It takes a lot to do this, and I'm working on one, and I'm getting ready to launch one, hopefully by the weekend. Super excited about that because it seems to generate a lot of conversation back and forth. Oh, you got this wrong. Oh, what were you thinking here? Oh, this was a great choice. And I just love it. And for everybody else listening, your feedback, I'm sure Mark will agree, your feedback is not just educational for us, but it's fun. And I can honestly say that I learn more from my viewer comments than I do from my own research at times. And your comments lead me to research more at times. So I appreciate your audience for listening to me babble. And if anybody there is, subscribe to me, the Firearm Guy, I appreciate you as well. Great chat, Mark. I'm glad we hooked up and was able to do this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Dan. I sure do appreciate it. Naturally, guys, you can find him on YouTube if you don't already know. The Firearm Guy. Just Google search that in YouTube or Google, and it'll pop up. You can also find him on Instagram as well. Same name. Real quick, Dan, do you have a Facebook page?
The Firearm Guy channel.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So support him and everything he does. I look forward to all of his videos. I take at least a few minutes of my day just to see what he's talking about, and really enjoy some of a lot of the things that Dan does, because a lot of the pistols that he works on discusses, reviews are not necessarily pistols that I am very familiar with. So that's one of the great things I love about Dan's channel. So real quick, I just want to go back through some housekeeping stuff. Again, by all means, swing by my website, fitandfire.com, and check out that. I really appreciate the support there. Naturally, I'll have links to a whole bunch of different stuff down in the description of this video as soon as it goes up on air live. I had some questions about the Creedmoor project. That is steadily going. I've got some more range time coming up here next weekend, I think. So I'm going to start stretching my legs out past 300 yards. I have another project. If everybody's familiar, I've got the blue gun here instead of my normal Glock 19 because the Glock 19 is in the shop, but I got this today. I'm really super excited about this, and hopefully you guys can see that. That's a new backplate for my Glock with my logo, so I'm really super stoked about that. Thank you very much to the Glock store for getting me hooked up with that new backplate. Super exciting about all of that. So thank you so much to everybody in the chat room for providing all the conversation and questions. I sure do appreciate it. Everyone that has been a part of this live chat, it means a lot to me as always. And we will see you next week. We'll try to make it same bat time, same bat channel, but things will always change a little bit. Life always gets in the way. And with that, I really do appreciate it. Keep calm and carry. See you guys later. Bye.